Starting off with a development early this evening which has far-reaching implications for the entire region. Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani, according to reports, called up Pakistan's Prime Minister-elect Imran Khan. And in the conversation, as per reports, the two leaders agreed to lay a new foundation for a prosperous future for both the countries. In fact, also overcoming the past is what the promise of that conversation was. But the question that arises is, will Imran Khan rein in terrorism? Will Pakistan under Imran Khan stop destabilizing Afghanistan for its own geopolitical interests? And will the two countries be able to put the past behind? Let's go straight across now to Strategic Affairs analyst Sushant Sareen joining us on the broadcast. The two countries talking peace. Imran Khan accepting that invitation from the Afghanistan President to visit Kabul. All seems to be going well as per the reports, Sushant. But overcoming the past is a huge hurdle that the two countries are tackling. What do these initial reports tell you of what lies in store also from an Indian point of view?
See, there's a lot happening on the Afghan front over the last few weeks. I think in the din of the Pakistani elections, a lot of that information has kind of got buried. But there has been a significant movement forward between Afghanistan and Pakistan over the last few weeks, a couple of months actually. Both sides have been meeting at multiple levels. They're exchanging delegations. There is a new framework which has been put into place. Now, that is at one level. At another level, we have seen that the Americans have entered into negotiations with the Taliban directly. The latest reports suggest that the American diplomat Alice Wells has led a delegation, met with the Taliban in Qatar. Alongside, we have seen that the Americans have also attacked some TTP terrorists who were believed to be in Afghanistan, including Mullah Fazlullah and others, which has been basically touted as a kind of confidence-building measure for the Pakistanis. Now, a lot of this stuff has happened in the past. The Americans have done a lot for the Pakistanis even in the past. The Pakistanis and the Afghans have also come together on the table in the past. The Pakistanis have organized some kind of a dialogue, including in Murree, between the Taliban and the Afghans, including the Chinese and the Americans in that. So this is a movie, parts of which we have seen in the past as well. Whether this time around this movie will just remain a trailer or will move forward and the whole script will be unveiled before us, and the plot would have been worked out in a way that it leads to the logical conclusion, that I think is a little premature to say right now, because that will require certain major strategic shifts, including from the Pakistani side. Also certain compromises from the Afghan side and a bit of eating humble pie from the American side. Now, if all those factors fall into place, then we could see this process move somewhat forward. Otherwise, I think it will be as stillborn as the previous such attempts which were made.
And the question here also, Sushant, is the kind of responsibility that Imran Khan has on his shoulders, first to rein in terror, to stop destabilizing Afghanistan, as the criticism really says, but also to tweak his Afghanistan policy if the IMF bailout does actually come up on the horizon, because Pakistan's economy is in shambles. All of that put together, overcoming the past is a challenge that Imran Khan and Afghanistan have to tackle. What are your expectations and what would this really mean for India?
See, I think Imran, I don't think he controls the Afghan policy of the Pakistani state. That is firmly in the hands of the military. But, the more troublesome factor is that Imran's own inclinations are very Taliban-esque. So in that sense, he will also have to take a leap of faith if he actually wants to move ahead with the peace process. Unless, of course, the larger game plan is to install the Taliban in Kabul, perhaps even give them the government, and then you go back to the 90s. Now, if that is what the American game plan is and that is what the Afghans are acquiescing to, I think the Pakistanis will be very happy. And Imran Khan, of course, who is known by the moniker of Taliban Khan, I'm sure he would very gladly go along with it. For India, I think the implication is going to be whether this whole game plan is predicated on India not having any role whatsoever in Afghanistan, because otherwise India's role in terms of the security cooperation is nowhere near what the Americans or others are doing. We are basically into capacity building. We are into supplying some equipment very necessary for the Afghan forces to fight the terrorists out there. We have been giving training exercises, training to Afghan officers and soldiers. So our role on the security domain has been limited to that. There has, of course, been some degree of intelligence sharing and intelligence cooperation, but that is what it is. Otherwise, it is more of a developmental role. Now, if the Pakistanis, with their bankrupt economy and their begging bowl with which they're going all over the world, are able to pick up the slack which the Indian ouster in Afghanistan would do, very well. They're very welcome to it. But I have my doubts if they can do that. The Pakistanis, of course, want that the Indians continue to write the checks while they continue to call the shots. That's not going to happen. The other problem is going to be from the Indian point of view, which is actually in the long term is not going to be sustainable for the Pakistanis, that eventually you will see, even if there is a Talibanist regime in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, there are inherent contradictions and conflicts which are built into the Af-Pak relationship. And whenever those conflicts come to the fore, maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now, this great game never ends. One chapter closes and another chapter opens up. So just like after the 1990s, in the early 2000s, India was once again in Afghanistan and Pakistan was out. It is quite possible that if things go as the way as many are fearing that they could go, India might be out for a couple of years and then be back in. So, this is a long-term game. I don't think we should tilt at the windmills always.
And let's just take a listen and hold that thought, Sushant. I'll just come back to you. Let's take a listen into what Imran Khan had to say just a few hours after the PTI did emerge as taking the lead in the Pakistan elections. Those were the words that the PTI chief had made while reassuring the world that Pakistan will be taking a concrete stand when it comes to Afghanistan. Let's take a listen into what he said.
अफ़गानिस्तान एक वो मुल्क है जिसने सबसे ज़्यादा वॉर ऑन टेरर में, ये जो वॉर ऑन टेरर और उससे पहले अफ़गान जहाद थी, सबसे ज़्यादा इंसानों ने इस दुनिया के इंसानों ने सबसे ज़्यादा जो तकलीफ़ उठाई है वो है अफ़गानिस्तान के लोग। और अफ़गानिस्तान के लोगों को अमन की ज़रूरत है। उसके बाद जो मुल्क चाहता है अफ़गानिस्तान में अमन, वो पाकिस्तान है। अफ़गानिस्तान में अमन होगा, पाकिस्तान में अमन होगा। हमारी पूरी कोशिश होगी हमारी गवर्नमेंट की कि हम हर तरह अफ़गानिस्तान में अमन लाने की कोशिश करें। मैं तो ये भी चाहता हूँ कि अफ़गानिस्तान में हमारे ऐसे ताल्लुकात हो जाएं कि हमारे ओपन बॉर्डर्स हों, जिस तरह यूरोपियन यूनियन के ओपन बॉर्डर्स हैं, हमारे भी एक दिन अफ़गानिस्तान से ओपन बॉर्डर्स हों।
All right, those are the words that Imran Khan had to deliver during that crucial address. Sushant, like you pointed out, Imran Khan is not the man who's actually steering the Afghanistan policy of Pakistan. So Imran Khan also had, spoken about Pakistan's relationship with India, the one he likes to see in the days to come, in the years to come, of not being a blame game, of saying that Pakistan is willing to take 2 steps if India takes 1 step towards the process of dialogue. If Imran Khan is not the man behind Afghanistan's policy of Pakistan, clearly he's also not the man who's got the remote control when it comes to Pakistan's policy towards India. So one cannot take any of those words at face value.
Absolutely. On Afghanistan, there is nothing new he said. What he said, every Pakistani says the same thing, and they keep talking about peace in Afghanistan. But I think the peace which they are talking about is the peace of the graveyard, because they want the Taliban to be given a role in Afghanistan. They are the ones. It's very rich of somebody like Imran Khan to talk about what is happening in Afghanistan and how much price the Afghans have paid in these wars on terror. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of the mess which we see in Afghanistan today, or we have seen over the last 30, 40 years now, is of Pakistan's making. The Pakistanis might have given millions of Afghans refuge, but the Pakistanis have also been responsible for much of the death and destruction that has visited Afghanistan. And for someone like Imran Khan, who has defended the terrorism of the Taliban in Afghanistan, called them freedom fighters and whatnot, for him to now talk about, the kind of mess there is in Afghanistan, I think that's rather rich coming from him. Also on the India front, I don't think there's anything new he said. It is a very pro forma kind of a statement he made. But for him to draw some kind of a moral equivalence between the alleged Indian involvement in Balochistan and the actual Pakistani involvement and the terrorism they've sponsored in India, I think it's kind of bizarre. Clearly, there is no equivalence out there, and a blame game is something which you can talk about if there is actually blame to go about. But if you manufacture a blame simply to draw some kind of a moral equivalence, like Imran Khan has done rather disingenuously in my view, I don't think that shows any level of sincerity on his part.
All right, we're going to leave it there for the moment. Sushant Sareen, thanks very much for joining us.